Next is our discussion of the week. The scarring effect caused by COVID-19 pandemic has led to the fall of the middle class in Indonesia as many people lose their economic status and move to the lower income segments.
As many as 9.48 million people grouped in the middle-class population have lost their economic status due to the decline in their incomes due to the scarring effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, the data issued by Statistics Indonesia indicated. According to the BPS data, the number of people classified as the middle class reached 57.33 million people, or equivalent to 21.45% of the total population in 2019. The figure dropped sharply to 47.85 million people, or equivalent to 17.13% this year. It means as many as 9.48 million people classified as middle-class residents have moved down to either aspiring middle class or poor people. Speaking during a hearing with the Commission 9 of the House of Representatives or DPR in late August, acting head of BPS Amalia Adininggar Widyasanti said many people faced economic difficulties during recent crisis, leading to a decrease in their purchasing power, and now the middle class now is facing a greater risk of falling into the vulnerable group. Meanwhile, the number of the aspiring middle class or middle class candidates shows a significant increase. The number of the people classified as the aspiring middle class increased from only 128.85 million or 48.20% of the total population to 137.50 million people or 49.22% of the total population in 2024. Likewise, the number of vulnerable poor community groups also increased from 54.97 million people or 20.56% in 2019 to 67.69 million people or 24.23% of the total population in 2024. It means that many middle-class groups have dropped to the middle-class candidates. Meanwhile, the segment of the people classified as poor also experienced a slight increase to 25.14 million people, or equivalent to 9.41% in 2019, to 25.22 million people, or equivalent to 9.03% in 2024. The upper group also increased slightly to 1.02 million people, or 0.38% in 2019, in 1.07 million people, or 0.38% of the total population in 2024. The shrinkage in the middle class, which is the backbone of the country's economy, will have an impact on economic growth. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that the government has made many efforts to support the middle class and empower poor people to move to higher income group, such as through a number of programs such as subsidies and value-added tax exemptions. However, such incentives are not enough. There should be an integrated policy to increase people's buying power, both in the form of fiscal and industrial policies that can strengthen the manufacturing sector. Reducing value-added tax or VAT to a wider group of people will greatly help increase purchasing power, while more conducive industrial policies will help revive industrial activities so that those who recently lost their jobs following closure of many industrial factories can work again. By doing so, the size of the country's middle class increase again, and those in the middle class can move to the upper income segment.
It's time for our dialogue of the week. More than 9 million people in Indonesia have tumbled out of the middle class during the last 4 years. And to find out why, joining us today is Bapak Eko Listianto, the Deputy Director of think tank Indef, where he will talk about the fall of middle class and its impact on the country's economy. Hello, Pak Eko, how are you?
Hello, fine, Mbak Lisa.
Pak Eko, so we have the statistics of more than 9 million people in Indonesia tumbling out of the middle class. When the Indonesian economy seems to be like it's going back to normal. So what is the reason behind these statistics that we have recently found? What is the reason behind 9 million people tumbling out of middle class?
Yeah, I think even in macro level, we still achieve 5% for our economic growth, but I think there are some shifting, I think, but in sector and also the preference of the consumer, because if we look the data, actually 5% of course not enough for Indonesia target to be golden Indonesia in 2045, but also the different situation in our economic growth before COVID and after COVID, there is shifting in consumption. I think the level of consumption, the growth of consumption after pandemic is below 5%, below the economic growth itself. So I think there is something wrong in this consumption, I think. And the other aspect is about the support for the economic growth also for some area also different. Yeah. We especially for our industry also below our economic growth, the good situation is, I think, in financial sector, yeah, we still have a double digit of our credit growth. So I think because this situation make our we are worried about our middle class, I think.
Exactly. I mean, on paper, it seems like we are on track, as you mentioned just now, that our economic growth is at 5%, so everything seems to be well. But with the statistic that we found that 9 million people is tumbling out of middle class, it's really pretty concerning. Now, you mentioned that the growth of our consumption is low. What is the reason behind this? And also, you also mentioned that the support is not good. So what can the government do to support our middle class earner?
Yeah, our consumption below the level of economic growth because there is declining in our purchasing power, especially in manufacturing. So many people lay off from manufacturing, and also if we look at our Indonesia manufacturing index, PMI, also in at least for 2 months in a contraction zone. I think this is also the signal for our purchasing power. And the other issue is about in some area the government tried to increase their ticket, fuel subsidy in some area. I think with this situation, our middle class facing higher price, and also in food price and also increase actually. If we count from January, I think we know that until today our society is still faced with higher food price. So this all of this situation give burden for the society. And for the government, this is the lack of the policy from the government. I think it's come from because government to focus in poor people. I think there are so many social incentives, social benefit for poor people, but less for the middle class. I think this is a big problem. And also for the upper class, also there are some incentive for them. So I think the government lack in the policy for the middle class.
It's a very tricky situation, isn't it? Now, Pak Eko, the government have targeted Indonesia to be a developed country by the year of 2030. Do you think that this fall in the middle class will affect our long-term economic goal then?
Of course, yeah. 80% of our economic growth, it's come from middle class. So if there is something happen in our middle class, I think it will revise our target. Yeah, it will decline our target because yeah, if we cannot try to push the income from the middle class, yeah, better. Yeah, I think it will hit for our target. Include how to achieve become a developed country, yeah, in the future, I think. Yeah, so yeah, with this proportion, we know if there is something wrong in our middle class, it will hit our economic growth. Yeah.
You stated just now that the government has given support for the lower income earners and not enough support for the middle income earners. So hence, what should our government do to increase the middle class income and protect the vulnerable groups from then falling into poverty?
Yeah, I think the first is we need to maintain their disposable income. Yeah. It will be better if the government has a policy about maybe non-taxable income. Yeah, the government increase non-taxable income. It will give yeah, add disposable income for the society. That I think it will good for the consumer growth, yeah, especially for the consumer growth, and it will stimulate to increase our consumer growth. And the other is about the administered price. Yeah, we need to delay or maybe to yeah, to make sure that there is no increase in some area of administered price. Yeah, like ticket for public transport. Yeah, and also try to not increase the full price. Yeah, and also in some area in health security and some area. I think so many issue in recently, yeah, come to yeah to make our middle class worry about the future, economic future. Yeah, and this is if the government have some policy that will support for the middle class, I think it's good, yeah, to make optimism in economy.
Do you think there's such breakthrough that government can do in terms of policy just to give a boost and encouragement to our middle income levels so that you know they can stay where they are and not tumble out?
Yeah, I think yes. Yeah. We need to create some policy, especially for the middle class level. We know that the middle class level is unique. Yeah, they didn't need like social security, but in some area, especially for the consumer goods, yeah, they need some incentive in there, and also for the transportation. I think most of one of the most burden for the middle class is come from transportation costs. It's so high, I think. So if the government come up with the price of transportation that can achieve by middle class, I think it's better for the situation.
So little incentives here and there will make a big difference.
Yeah, I think yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about labor absorption. PAECO labor absorption remains low due to the decline in the industrial sector. What should the government do to support the manufacturing, especially labor-intensive industry, so that more people will find jobs?
Yeah, I think the solution for our manufacturing, first is, of course, we need to invite more investment to come to our manufacturing, especially that based on labor-intensive manufacturing. I think it will be good to address the issue of the layoff, the issue about the unemployment aspect sector, and the other is, our industry competitiveness, I think, become worse after pandemic because some area, especially for the raw material, is also increased, and the electricity is also the price of electricity is also high, and so many overhead costs increase. So I think this is the burden of our industry, especially for the manufacturing. So they they worry about the situation too. Yeah. So for the future, I think the policy for the manufacturing is important, especially how to make sure that the overhead cost from the manufacturing will decrease, and also how to increase their competitiveness with the import product, I think. Yeah.
Okay, last question, Pak Eko. This trend of the declining of middle class seems to also be happening in other ASEAN countries. Is this really due to the COVID pandemic, and how are the other countries handling this issue as well?
Yeah, okay, but we also, another country also face the same situation. Yeah, we face slowdown in global economic growth. But I think every country face a different situation, I think. In internal country, like in Indonesia, I think the situation is maybe different with the other country like Malaysia, Thailand, and the other ASEAN country, because we face a big unemployment, I think, in this, and maybe the other country they face different situations. So focus to make sure that our investment will come for the labor-intensive industry, will make a solution, I think, for this middle class issue.
Okay, focus in the labor industry. Thank you so much, Pak Eko Listianto, Deputy Director of INDEF, for coming to Economic Outlook, and looking forward to having you again next time for more insights.
Thank you, Mbak Luisa.